Birding in late autumn and early winter in the UK and much of Europe is a time to get to the coastal marshes and estuaries where a wide variety of waders, gulls and wildfowl congregate. In these habitats, some truly spectacular numbers of birds can be found. And that's why I've come to Shellness and Swale National Nature Reserve today, so that I can show you around the salt marshes, beaches, mudflats and wet pasture at one of my favourite birdwatching locations in southeast England. Later in the video I want to show you some of the winter wildfowl found here. It is winter, don't be fooled by this sunshine, it's quite cold here. But I want to start by showing you some of the shorebirds. Okay, let's stop mucking around, let's go and see some birds. Dunlin is a common bird at many coastal locations through Europe and North America, and this is also true at Shellness. By sitting quietly on the mudflats, I was able to get really close to these feeding Dunlin. And like most shorebirds, they feed at low tide and they sleep at high tide, whether this is during the day or at night. When they head to their roost site, Dunlin can sometimes form spectacular flocks. Although they breed in small numbers at Shellness, ring plovers form larger flocks on the beach in the winter. Sanderling spend the winter at Shellness in much smaller numbers. Typically, sanderlings feed at the water's edge, picking up invertebrates left stranded by receding waves. For me, any visit to Shellness is synonymous with Eurasian Oystercatcher. They are present all year round, and watching them fly into their roost site as the tide comes in is amazing. One of the most amazing shorebird spectacles at Shellness is the high tide roost of oystercatchers. Just take a look at this lot. The numbers of oystercatchers that gather are incredible, with around 2,000 birds at the peak in autumn. A similar phenomenon occurs here with curlews too. As the tide comes in, they are pushed closer and closer to the salt marsh, and when the water becomes too deep, they take off. The curlews then gather in a flock and descend to roost in the salt marsh. No birding trip to Shellness would be complete without watching turnstones. These busy little waders can always be seen feeding at the shoreline, or in stranded seaweed. As you can see, this is also a really good place for seeing gulls, particularly if you've got a bag of chips to share with them. About a month ago, I found a lovely Sabine's gull sitting on this beach, and if you check the description below, I'll leave a link to the video of that bird too. But for now, just want to show you some of the more regularly seen gulls at Shellness. Great blackback gull is the biggest and most impressive of the gulls. This beast is a fearsome predator and kleptoparasite, often stealing other birds' food. Even the first winter birds are impressive. Of course, black-headed gull is as common here as it is in many other places. Common gull is actually quite common in the winter at Shellness. And of course you can't miss herring gulls in their many plumages. In the winter, the marshes at Shellness and Swale host large flocks of wildfowl. Mallard, Wigeon, Teal, Gadwall and Brent Geese are very numerous, along with common shelduck, pintail and smaller numbers of red-breasted Merganser, eider and these white-fronted geese. Eurasian Wigeon are one of the most charming of ducks, arriving in large numbers in the winter they can be seen busily feeding in estuaries, salt marsh and wet pasture as they make their musical contact call. Common teal is a very numerous bird in the winter and can be seen feeding in the shallows of estuaries, rivers or flooded pasture. In autumn they look rather dull in female type plumage, but by midwinter the males look really handsome. The numbers of Brent geese out here are absolutely amazing. The marshes are just alive with the sound of their call. The last thing I want to show you is the beautiful sight and the sounds of Brent geese flying into roost at sunset. Please subscribe to the channel to see more birding videos like this. Goodbye, and watch this next bit. It's a great ending to a day's birding.